Dark clouds of fire and smoke hung over the burning skies of the Valeri homeworld. The air was thick with ash. Screams echoed through shattered cities. The once beautiful world of Alias, home of the peaceful Valeri, was now a battlefield. Kravari had come without warning. They were not just conquerors, they were destroyers. Giant warships blacked out the skies. Plasma blasts turned towers to dust. Families ran through broken streets, chased by metal drones that showed no mercy. Inside a hidden bunker deep beneath the capital, High Speaker Loras gripped the edge of a glowing table. His voice trembled. "We have no more fleets," he whispered. "No more armies. Our people are finished." Across from him, Advisor Veni shook her head. Not finished. Not yet. She pressed a button on the table. A small orb rose into the air and began to glow a soft blue. "We send the signal, the oldest one, the one that calls to the stars." Loras' eyes widened. "You mean the Galactic?" SOS Veni nodded. "Yes, a call for help. A desperate one. Maybe someone will answer. But they won't," Loras said bitterly. "We've seen what the Council did. They turned their backs. Everyone fears the Kravari. Then let the stars hear our final voice," Veni said quietly, "and let history say we did not die in silence." The orb pulsed. The signal launched an ancient frequency known across thousands of systems. A cry for help. A final hope. Hundreds of light years away, a silent probe floated beyond the edge of Earth's solar system, hidden from view, cold and dead to most eyes. It suddenly blinked to life. The signal had arrived. It traveled down a chain of satellites and into the core of the Earth defense grid. Within seconds, red lights flashed. Across command terminals, buried deep beneath the Arctic ice, a man in a dark uniform stood before a glowing screen. His name was Admiral Reeve. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Is it real?" he asked. "Yes, sir," replied a young officer. "The Valeri. Their homeworld is falling. The Kravari are wiping them out. No one's helping them." Reeve said nothing for a moment. Then he turned to the table behind him. A map of the galaxy unfolded before him. Red zones marked danger. Yellow zones were unstable. But far out past all known territories was Earth. Quiet, watching, waiting. Alert command. "Activate the Helios protocol," he said. The room went silent. One officer stepped forward slowly. "Sir, that means yes," Reeve said firmly. "We launched the fleet." Far beneath the oceans of Earth, massive hangars began to open. From hidden bases across the Moon and Mars, enormous ships rose into the darkness of space. They bore no nation's flag, only the silent emblem of Earth, a burning star surrounded by 7 iron wings. The Helios War. Fleet had awakened back on Alias. Hope was dying. Valeri refugees gathered in underground chambers. Mothers held crying children. Scientists wept over broken machines. Loras sat near a broken wall, staring at the flickering lights above. "No one came," he whispered. Veni sat beside him. "We were foolish to hope." Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the tunnels, not from below, but from above. "What is that?" someone asked. They rushed outside. Above the smoke and clouds, strange new shapes moved across the sky. Angular, glowing blue. These were not Kravari ships. One of the elder engineers gasped. That design, it's ancient, from the old records, from the Forgotten War." A Valeri child pointed upward. "Are they angels?" "No," whispered Veni. "Worse, or better, it depends." The sky lit up with brilliant streaks of energy. Human warships opened fire not on the Valeri, but on the Kravari patrols circling overhead. In moments, the skies were full of thunder. Earth had arrived. Inside the Earth flagship Vigilant, Admiral Reeve stood with arms behind his back, watching the chaos unfold on a 3D display. "Target the Kravari command node, neutralize their long-range relays, save who we can, destroy what we must," he ordered. "Weapon systems. Hot all units, reporting ready." Suddenly, a voice came through the comms. "This is Commander Isha of the 2nd Fleet. We've got civilians trapped beneath Zone 9. Kravari drones inbound. Send ground teams," Reeve said. "We don't leave anyone behind." Down on the surface, Valeri citizens stared in awe as strange armored soldiers in black exosuits dropped from the sky. Their weapons shimmered with electric pulses. They moved fast, covered each other, and fired with deadly precision. A Kravari drone charged at them, only to be torn apart in midair. One soldier turned toward the refugees. His voice was mechanical but calm. "You're safe now. Stay behind us." Veni stepped forward. Who are you?" The soldier looked at her through his helmet. "We are from Earth. You called," we answered. In a dark chamber far away, deep within Kravari space, an old general slammed his hand against the table. "Earth. Impossible. They vanished." "They returned," said a younger officer, "and now they fight." The general growled. "Then we kill them again." "But we barely know who they are," the officer replied. "We have no intel, no records. They don't speak at council. They don't trade. They just watch, then send a shadow ship. I want to know everything, their strength, their weakness, before they bring their fire to our doorstep." Back on the Vigilant, Admiral Reeve sat quietly in his chamber. A small screen showed the faces of the rescued Valeri, children smiling, families reuniting. He allowed himself a small breath. But it wasn't over, not even close. "Sir," said a voice over comms, "do we return to base?" "No," Reeve replied. "We move forward. This wasn't a one-time rescue. The Kravari must be stopped, not just slowed. And the Council, they had their chance. They turned their backs on the innocent." Pause. "Then, what's our mission now, Admiral?" Reeve looked out at the stars. "To remind the galaxy," he said, "that Earth doesn't look away. Not from fire, not from war, not from cries for help." Deep in the rubble of Alias, Veni watched the Earth ships vanish into the clouds. She looked at Laura's, her eyes full of wonder and fear. "Who are they really?" she asked. Laura's didn't answer at first. Then he said slowly, "I think they were once like us, but something changed them." Veni nodded. "And now," he said, "they're something else entirely." Far beyond the Valeri stars, the Helios fleet moved silently through deep space. Lights dim, shields up, weapons hot. The galaxy still didn't know Earth had returned, but it would very soon, because the next cry for help might be even louder, and this time humanity would already be watching. Earth had always been quiet. After the Great Silence, when Earth cut off contact with the rest of the galaxy, most species thought humans had vanished. Some believed they destroyed themselves. Others said they were hiding. But no one really knew. What the galaxy didn't understand was this. Earth had been watching, listening, preparing, deep below Antarctica. In the hidden command center of the Earth Defense Coalition, walls of screens flickered with data. Dozens of officers stood at glowing consoles. Satellites tracked enemy movements across the stars. Hundreds of ships had already launched, but this was just the beginning. Inside the central war room, a group of powerful leaders sat around a black circular table. Holograms hovered above them, maps, fleet positions, transmission logs. On the wall, one red word flashed. Valeri, status critical. Admiral Reeve stood at the head of the room, calm and focused. "The Helios fleet has arrived. We engaged the Kravari over Alias and rescued several thousand civilians. Losses were minimal. Our soldiers performed with full precision." A woman with gray hair and sharp eyes leaned forward. She was the director of Earth Intelligence. "Dr. Kalin, you deployed without Council permission," she said. "Without discussion, they sent the signal," Reeve said. We answered. "Do you understand what this means?" she asked. "The Kravari are watching us now. The galaxy is watching." Reeve's voice was steady. "Good. Let them watch." A low murmur ran around the table. Another man, General Markov, tapped a control panel. "Let's not forget who the Kravari are. They're not just conquerors. They're exterminators. Every species they defeat, they erase. They turn entire planets into slave factories. We stood by too long." Dr. Kalin shook her head. "The galaxy chose silence. Earth chose isolation. If we come back now, we must be sure. This isn't just about saving lives. This could start a war." Reeve looked at each of them one by one. "We've been preparing for 300 years, he said. "We have the ships, the weapons, the soldiers, but more importantly, we have the will." He pressed a button on the table. A large hologram filled the room, a planet-sized ship half hidden in shadow. "The Titan-class ships are ready." Gasps filled the chamber. "That's not possible," someone whispered. Reeve nodded. "Fleet was just Phase 1. Titan Protocol is Phase 2. If we launch it, there's no turning back. Silence followed. Then Kalen asked softly, "Why now?" Reeve answered simply, "Because no one else will." At that same moment, across the galaxy, the Kravari warlords gathered in a dark chamber lit only by red flames. 12 commanders stood in a circle, armor shining like obsidian. At the center was the High Commander Zhorkov, a monster of steel and muscle. He slammed his fist on the table. "Who are the humans?" he growled. An assassin drone hovered nearby. Its voice was cold. Species origin: Planet Earth, Sector 1199 Zeta. Lost from records after Cycle War 3047. Considered extinct or hidden. Zhorkov narrowed his eyes. "They are not extinct. They are dangerous." Another commander grunted. "Their ships were strong, but few. We can crush them before they spread." Zhorkov shook his head. "No, you didn't see the reports. Their weapons are advanced. Their tactics, strange, efficient, cold. They don't fight like the rest of the galaxy." He leaned forward, eyes burning. "I want their secrets." Back on Earth, the decision was made. The Titan-class ship Arclight rose from the ice of Europa's hidden base. It was massive, 3 times the size of a standard dreadnought. Its core glowed blue, pulsing like a living heart. Inside its command deck, Captain Ala Chen ran her fingers over the smooth controls. She had trained her entire life for this. Titan-class crews were the best of the best. "Admiral Reeve has given the order," a voice said over the comms. "You are green for launch." "Understood," she replied. "All systems active. Arclight is moving." The ship rose into the stars, and with it, Earth's power was fully revealed. Far from Earth, in a quiet system filled with dust and forgotten moons, an ancient relay station came to life. A signal blinked across the black sky. A group of alien smugglers sat inside a rusty station, drinking and playing hologames. One of them, a thin, bug-eyed creature named Rek, noticed the light. "That's impossible," he muttered. "Is it?" asked another. Rek stood up slowly, fear on his face. "That signal, it hasn't been used in centuries. It's Earth's war code." "Earth, that's a myth." Rek pointed at the relay. "Does that look like a myth to you?" They watched in silence. The galaxy was waking up. On a distant moon, Valeri survivors gathered around a fire. Children slept beside tired mothers. Soldiers polished old weapons. Veni looked up at the stars, eyes heavy with worry. "They came for us," she said. "But what now?" Loras answered beside her, voice low. "The humans saved our people, but not because of duty, not because of alliances, I think. They saved us because they couldn't ignore the pain." Veni frowned. "Is that a strength or a weakness?" Before Loras could answer, the sky above them shimmered. 3 Earth warships entered orbit sealant, powerful, steady. Veni stood tall. "They're not going back home, are they?" "No," Loras said. "Earth has decided. They're not hiding anymore." Admiral Reeve stood once more in the heart of Earth's war command. He looked at the stars on the screen, then pressed a final command. "All Helios units," he said, "advance to Phase 2. Begin push toward Kravari border colonies. We rescue. We defend. We strike when needed. The galaxy failed the Valeri. We won't fail the next ones." A pause, then, he added, "Humanity is no longer silent in the shadows of deep space." Kravari scouts watched Earth's movements. A message was sent to High Commander Zhorkov. "They are moving fast, taking worlds, gaining trust. Other species may join them." Zhorkov stared at the message. Then, "Let them come," he said coldly. "Let the humans burn with the rest. They will learn what it means to stand against the Kravari Empire." But deep inside, a strange feeling gnawed at him. Fear. The stars shifted. The pieces moved. The Helios fleet advanced, and in every corner of the galaxy, whispers grew louder. Earth is back. Alias, once a glowing jewel of the Valeri, was now a graveyard in orbit. Charred ships floated in silence. Ash spread through space like a dark fog. The Kravari had moved on after their destruction, but the pain remained until the humans arrived. Helios' fleet moved through the silence with purpose. Sleek warships in black and steel, energy cores glowing like the hearts of stars. Their arrival was not quiet, but it was controlled, powerful, and deliberate. Inside the command bridge of the Earth ship Vigilant, Admiral Reeve stood tall, watching the planet below. "What's left down there?" he asked. A young officer replied, "Scans show one major underground refuge. Around 500 survivors, minimal power, no defense. But what? There are Kravari patrol drones, closing in fast." Reeve turned toward the operations team. "Deploy ground team Alpha and Delta, get those people out." High above the planet, a Kravari patrol cruiser picked up movement, unknown ships entering lower orbit. The Kravari pilot growled. The commander stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "Not council ships. They're different, unfamiliar." Before, the order to attack could leave his mouth. A piercing blue beam sliced across the cruiser's hull. The entire ship shook violently. Alarms screamed. "Where did that come from?" the pilot shouted. Another blast followed, clean, precise, unstoppable. Within seconds, the cruiser was gone. No remains. No time to react. The humans had fired first. Down. On Alias, Venny stood with the last group of refugees in the tunnels. The children were coughing. The lights flickered. The ceiling trembled from distant explosions. Laura's paced nearby. "They'll find us soon. The Kravari are sweeping this zone. We're out of time." Before anyone could respond, a strange hum filled the chamber. Then, loud metallic thuds echoed from above. "Not Kravari," Venny whispered. "It's too clean, too fast." The ceiling hatch burst open and humans dropped in, soldiers in black exosuits. Their eyes glowed behind tinted visors. Their steps were silent but sharp. They moved like predators, but their weapons didn't point at the Valeri. The lead soldier raised a hand. "Stay calm," she said. "We're getting you out." Venny stepped forward, stunned. "Why? Why are you helping us?" The soldier's voice was calm, clear, because no one else did. Above, in orbit, more Kravari warships entered the system. Their commander barked into the comms. "Unknown forces are engaging us over Alias. Initiate response protocol. Bring in destroyer units." "On the Vigilant, Earth sensors flared," said the tactical officer. 3 Kravari destroyers inbound. "Heavy weapons, ETA. 2 minutes." Reeve didn't blink. "Send in the Ravens." From behind the moon, 4 small Earth ships launched forward at extreme speed. These were Raven-class interceptors, small, fast, and deadly. Inside one of them, pilot Dev Kora grinned as his ship locked onto targets. "Permission to play rough? Command," he said into the mic. "Approved," came the reply. The Ravens weaved. Between the Kravari destroyers, like lightning, firing precision missiles and pulse beams, explosions bloomed like brief suns. One destroyer spun off course, venting fire and fuel. The Kravari didn't know what hit them. On the surface, the human soldiers guided the Valeri up through the rubble and toward the extraction point. A child stumbled. A human soldier picked him up gently. "You're going to be okay," he whispered. Loras looked at one of the Earth soldiers walking beside him. "You came from so far. Why now?" The soldier didn't turn. "Because this is what we were built for, war." "No," the soldier replied. "Justice." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. A Kravari drone swarm entered the ruins, screeching and firing. "Hostiles incoming," shouted one of the Earth Marines. The team formed a shield. While around the Valeri, human weapons lit up, sending wave after wave of energy into the swarm. The battle was close, brutal, precise. Venny screamed as a drone broke through, but a single shot from the squad leader ended it instantly. "Fall back, keep them covered," he ordered. They reached the pickup zone. Seconds later, Earth dropships roared in overhead, weapons blazing. "Everyone on board. Move, move." Back on the Vigilant, Reeve watched the Kravari forces retreating. "Sir, all civilians extracted. Hostiles withdrawing. Casualties. 1 Marine injured, no deaths." Reeve exhaled. Good mission complete. But then something unexpected. A come alert blinked red. "Sir," said the officer, "we're getting a transmission." From the Kravari, Reeve raised an eyebrow. "Put it through." A tall Kravari with deep scars and cold eyes appeared. On the screen, his voice was full of hate. "You interfere in our affairs. Human, this is your only warning. Turn back nor burn with them." Reeve stepped closer. "You destroyed their homes. You hunted the weak. You silenced every voice. That cried out, the Kravari commander sneered. That is the law of power. Then let's rewrite it. Reeve replied coldly. He cut the transmission dot in the refugee ships heading to safety. Veni sat with a child in her arms. She looked out at the stars. They saved us, she whispered. They came, and they fought. For us. Laura's nodded. But I don't think they just came to save us. They came for something more. What do you mean? She asked. Laura's looked into the black sky, where Earth ships now moved silently. I think Earth is making a statement, not just to us, to everyone. In the secret halls of the Galactic Council, ambassadors argued. You saw the reports, one shouted. Earth has entered the conflict. Another growled. We told them to stay neutral. Why didn't they listen? A third alien ambassador stood slowly. They didn't listen, he said, because someone finally did. The chamber fell silent. Outside, rumors spread like wildfire. Stories of humans who fought without fear, who came not for power but for justice. Species across the stars began to whisper a name they had forgotten. Earth in deep space. Admiral Reeve stood alone on the bridge of the Vigilant. Looking out the window, a single star blinked in the distance. They know we're here now, he said quietly. Commander Isha stood beside him. Do we fall back? Reeve shook his head. No, we move forward. And the Kravari. Reeve's voice was steady. They just made first contact with Earth's fire. The Kravari Empire had known war for centuries. They had crushed rebellions, burned planets, and shattered civilizations. No one had stood against them for long, until now. Inside the Black Fortress ship Gorak Thal, far beyond the Valeri systems, High Commander Zhorkov stared at a glowing battle map. Red dots showed Kravari positions, but now new markers blinked in blue Earth, ships growing by the hour. They've taken 6 border zones in less than 2 weeks, said a Kravari officer. Zhorkov's red eyes narrowed. This shouldn't be possible, the officer hesitated there. Fast, Commander. Their ships are unlike any we've seen. They strike, vanish, then strike again. Precision strikes, minimum losses. Another officer stepped forward. We believe the humans are using cloaked jump relays. They can appear almost anywhere. Zhorkov slammed his clawed fist against the table. Enough. Bring me everything. Schematics, history, weaknesses. I want to know who these ghosts really are. On the Earth warship Vigilant, Admiral Reeve was reviewing new intelligence. All rescued colonies are secure, said Commander Isha. Valeri leaders are organizing a civilian network with our help. They're calling it the Flame of Alaris. Reeve nodded slowly, a spark in the darkness. Good, we need symbols. Hope spreads faster than fear. Suddenly, an officer called out, Sir, we've intercepted Kravari transmissions. Looks like they're analyzing us. Let them, Reeve said, but they'll find nothing. Earth's military history had been erased from most galactic databases centuries ago. After the old wars, Earth went silent. Now, that silence was breaking loudly. Meanwhile, far from the main battle zones, a Kravari stealth cruiser floated near a quiet star. Inside, a creature named Varric sat alone, eyes glued to the screen. He was a watcher, a spy of the highest rank. His mission? Study Earth, learn its secrets, expose its weaknesses. He tapped into old satellite data, traced deep space jumps, hacked communication logs, and then he found something. He searched deeper, decoding encrypted files stolen from a forgotten relay. Blueprints appeared on the screen. Ship designs, energy cores, AI control systems. This isn't a ship, he muttered. It's a weapon with a soul. He immediately sent the data back to Zhorkov. It was the first piece of the puzzle. At the same time, in a hidden Kravari base on the icy planet Colonization, a captured Valeri prisoner was brought before a Kravari scientist. We found this one. Hiding in a human outpost, said a guard. She speaks their language. The scientist stepped forward. You, tell us everything. What are the humans planning? Venice, scared but unbroken, raised her head. They're not planning. They're deciding, she said, deciding if this galaxy deserves peace or punishment. The scientist laughed. Earth thinks it can bring order. It will burn like the rest. Veni's voice was calm. You don't understand them. None of us do. But they understand war. better than anyone. Back on Earth, deep inside the Arctic command vault, Reeve stood before the Global Council. Their faces appeared as holograms. "You've started something bigger than one war," said one elder. "The Kravari are preparing for full retaliation." Reeve stood firm. "Then we finish what others were too afraid to begin." Another voice, older and softer, spoke next. "Do we reveal our full hand, Admiral?" Reeve paused. "Not yet. The Helios fleet is enough for now. But if they push harder, we show them the Titan." "Are you sure the galaxy is ready to see what Earth became?" asked the elder. Reeve's voice turned cold. "The real question is, are they ready?" Elsewhere, Zhorkov received the spy's report. He read it in silence. His face grew darker with every line. Titan Protocol, AI-driven command, adaptive learning, gravity cannons, quantum armor. One of his generals stepped forward nervously. "Commander, if this is true, then Earth's weapons are beyond anything in our fleet." Zhorkov didn't speak for a long time. Then finally, he looked up. "Then we changed the rules. No more chasing ghosts. We crush them head-on." He gave a new order, Operation Scorch, a coordinated assault on a planet liberated by Earth-7-3 to bait the humans into open battle. Aboard the Vigilant, the warning came through. Admiral 7-3 is under Kravari attack. Civilians and Earth-Med. On the surface, Reeve clenched his jaw. "They're trying to provoke us." Commander Isha spoke calmly. "It's a trap." "I know," Reeve said, "but we're going anyway." Earth forces arrived at Selventhray within hours. The Kravari fleet was already there, 20 ships, big ones ready for war. The Vigilant jumped in first. Then came the Arclight, the largest Earth vessel deployed yet. "Lock shields, bring the Ravens in from the dark side of the moon," Reeve ordered. "Surprise is still our edge." From orbit, Earth forces watched as Kravari ships launched heavy bombardments on civilian zones. "We can't wait," Reeve said. The sky above Selventhray lit up with fire. Earth warships unleashed hell. Beams of light cut through enemy shields. Missiles rained like falling stars. Kravari cannons roared back, shaking the sky. But this time, the Kravari were ready. A hidden warpod emerged behind the Vigilant, firing a massive gravity pulse. The Earth flagship shuddered. Lights flickered. "Direct hit on the lower decks," shouted an officer. "Return fire. Focus all beams on that pod," Isha commanded. On the ground, Earth soldiers fought side by side with Valeri resistance fighters. Drones buzzed overhead. Plasma rifles cracked through the smoke. A young Earth Marine shouted, "Civilians are clear. We need cover to pull back." A Valeri fighter nodded. "Go, we'll hold the line." A new force entered the field. From above, a Titan drop pod smashed into the Earth. The doors opened and a towering figure stepped out. It was Aegis, one of Earth's AI war commanders, 10 feet tall. Half machine, half memory. With one motion, Aegis raised his arm. A glowing shield formed in front of the soldiers. "Fall in." "You're under my protection now," he said. On the Gorak Thal, Zhorkov watched the battle unfold. His eye twitched. "They brought one of their Titans, a small one," said a Kravari technician. "Then we escalate," Zhorkov said. "Prepare the Dread Maw." The room went silent. "The Maw?" the technician whispered. "But it hasn't been tested," Zhorkov growled. "We either break Earth or get broken." Back on Selventhray, Admiral Reeve watched the battlefield as Earth forces pushed forward. The Kravari were retreating. "But then, sir," a voice cried, "massive object, entering orbit." A huge shadow fell over the battlefield, black, moving. Like a beast, the Kravari just deployed something big. Bigger than anything we've seen. Reeve stared at the monitor. "So it begins," he said. The battle for Selventhray had ended in chaos. The Kravari had deployed the Dread Maw, monstrous living warship powered by stolen alien cores. It tore through the battlefield, consuming everything in its path. But just before it reached the human command center, it vanished. No explosion, no retreat. It simply folded into space and disappeared. The humans didn't chase it. They didn't speak about it. And that silence, more than anything, unsettled the galaxy. On board the Vigilant, Admiral Reeve stood in the dark command deck. He watched the replay of the Maw's last moment, frame by frame. "It didn't jump," Commander Isha said quietly. There was no warp signature, no engine trail. It vanished like smoke. Reeve nodded, eyes fixed on the screen. It wasn't a test, it was a message. To who? He turned away from the screen and walked toward the central table. A file blinked slowly, a forgotten one. A warning from the past. Prepare a route to the Forbidden Zone, Reeve ordered, and send a message to Station Thorn. Isha looked stunned. Thorn. But it's been locked for 300 years. Reeve's voice turned cold. It's time to unlock it. In orbit above Earth's moon, a massive research station floated in darkness. Station Thorn had been sealed after the last Old War, when humanity nearly tore itself apart. Inside were secrets about the weapons Earth once used, the enemies they once fought, and the peace they had never really trusted. Now, it was waking up. Dr. Mara Lang stepped off the Vigilance shuttle, her boots clicking on the metal floor. She was a historian, not a soldier, but she held something more valuable than a gun knowledge. She had studied Earth's hidden past, the things buried beneath official history. Why now? She asked as Reeve joined her. The Kravari sent a weapon powered by stolen tech, he said. But that power came from somewhere. We think it's connected to the Titans. Dr. Lang frowned. You mean the AI ships? No, Reeve said slowly. The original Titans, not the ones we control, the ones we buried. They walked deeper into the station, where a sealed vault waited. The air was cold. Lights flickered as old systems came online, accessing file. Operation Obsidian Memory, the AI voice said. Holograms lit up the room. Planets lost, species erased, ancient weapons built by Earth when it still believed in total war. Lang's hands shook. This is genocide. We did this. Reeve didn't answer at first. Then, we didn't start it, but we finished it, and then we locked it all away. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the Kravari were also asking questions. Zorkov stared at the Mao's last scan. The energy signature. It wasn't Kravari. It was older. Sir, said his science chief. We ran the pattern through old records. It matches something called the Oblivion Engine. A myth. Zorkov's voice was quiet. Not a myth anymore. If the humans still control those weapons, they don't, Zorkov interrupted. But they remember them. Which means we are walking into fire we don't understand. On a neutral space station near the edge of Council territory, species from across the galaxy had gathered. News of Earth's actions and the Kravari's growing aggressions spread like wildfire. A tall insectoid being stood before a group. Of curious minds, he was a scholar, a collector of lost truths. You ask who the humans are, he said, but the real question is, what are they? He tapped a panel. Images flashed of Earth's past wars, black oceans of fire, cities turned to ash, entire moons cracked in half. They went silent for centuries. But before that, they were not heroes, they were monsters. Efficient, brilliant, unstoppable. The crowd murmured. So why did they stop? Someone asked. The insectoid turned his many eyes toward the stars. No one knows. But now that they're back, the galaxy must choose: do we trust them, or do we fear them? Meanwhile, on the Vigilant, Dr. Lang studied the files late into the night. One caught her attention. Project Seraph, a prototype ship AI-piloted human cord, designed to think like a soldier and feel like a man. She gasped. Admiral, she said through the comm, Seraph wasn't destroyed, it went rogue. Reeve came at once. We're somewhere in the nebula sector, but it's been silent for decades. Until now, she pulled up recent data radiation spikes, power surges, signal echoes. I think it's waking up. At the same time, a small Earth scout ship flew through the edge of the nebula sector. Inside, two pilots chatted, bored and tired. Then, suddenly, everything went quiet. Main systems just went dark, one said. The other looked out the window. Froze. A shape emerged from the gas clouds. Long, sleek, covered in old Earth markings. It didn't move, but its presence was heavy. Is that one of ours? I don't know. The ship's lights flickered. Then a message appeared on there. Console, written in an old human dialect. I remember everything. Back on Earth, Reeve stared at the same message. The signal had reached them to Seraph is alive, he said. Lang whispered, if it remembers, then it remembers why we stopped the war. And if the Kravari wake up that part of us again, Reeve said, we might not stop a second. Time. In a quiet room aboard the Vigilant, a soldier cleaned her rifle. She looked at the stars through a tiny viewport. Do you think we're doing the right thing? Asked her squadmate. She nodded. We didn't start this war, but someone had to answer that call. He leaned back. It's strange, though. The galaxy sees us as saviors now. But we were once the monsters they feared. She smiled sadly. Sometimes, to stop monsters, you have to become one again. Just long enough to end the nightmare, and in the dark corners of the galaxy, old ghosts stirred. Weapons that had slept for centuries now turned their eyes to the stars once. Earth had returned. But it wasn't just the present the galaxy had to fear. It was Earth's past. It began with a whisper, a message sent in secret, a deal made in darkness, and the galaxy shifted again, not with a battle, but with a betrayal. Inside the orbiting warship Vigilant, Admiral Reeve stood before the massive command map. Blue dots marked Earth fleets. Red showed Kravari activity, but one zone, the neutral system of Thalor, Prime, suddenly turned gray. Status report, Reeve said calmly. A junior officer tapped rapidly at her console. Sir, something strange. Allies on Thalor Prime just deactivated their defense grid. A Kravari cruiser entered orbit. Unchallenged, Reeve narrowed his eyes. They let the Kravari in. Commander Isha stepped forward. Thalor Prime signed a peace agreement with us last cycle. If they open their skies, it means someone sold us out. Reeve nodded slowly. Bring up the Council's last transmission. Meanwhile, on Thalor Prime, Prime Delegate Ornvex stood in his golden palace. Watching Kravari soldiers march through the capital streets, he did not look proud. He looked tired. An aide whispered beside him, Sir, this will not be forgotten. Earth saved us. Ornvex's voice was soft. And where was Earth when the Kravari first came? We asked. We begged. They came late. Now we must survive. The aide stared at the armored figures walking through the plaza. At what cost? Ornvex didn't answer. Back aboard the Vigilant, the intercepted Council transmission played in the command chamber. The voice was cold and formal. To Earth's representatives, in light of recent escalations, the Galactic Council advises your fleets to retreat. Your actions, though bold, are causing instability. The Council seeks peace. Your presence is no longer required. Reeve stared at the screen, his face unreadable. They want us to leave, said Isha, disgusted. After everything we've done. They fear what we might awaken, Reeve replied. Or maybe they're scared we'll finish what they failed to start. He turned toward the communications officer. Send a message to all allied worlds. 2 words only. Yes? Sir, what are the words? Reeve's voice was iron. Stand alone, across dozens of star systems. Earth's message arrived like a thunderclap. To allies, to survivors, to refugees, rescued from Kravari cruelty, it meant one thing. Earth would not wait. Earth would not beg. They would fight, alone if needed. And strangely, that message sparked something new in the far deserts of Sirosnai. A ragged alien warband heard the message and raised Earth's symbol on their outpost wall. In the deep ice tunnels of Velos, Valeri orphans lit candles and whispered Earth's name before sleeping. On lost moons and quiet stations, species once too afraid to fight began to hope. But in the Kravari Empire, the betrayal was a weapon. Inside the dark throne room of the Gorekthal, High Commander Zhorkov met with his new allies' council diplomats who had come to make peace. Done well, Dorkov growled. Earth trusted you, and you let us in. The diplomats shifted nervously. We only want to avoid full war, one of them said. We believe peace is still peace, Zhorkov laughed. You mistake silence for peace. The humans brought fire. Now we answer with ash. He turned to his generals. Activate the Veil Protocol. One general blinked, but that would cloak our full invasion routes. Dorkov grinned. Exactly. While Earth fights ghosts, we strike real targets. Back on Earth's hidden moon base Lancer 1, Admiral Reeve met with Dr. Mara Lang. Again, she had bad news. The Seraph AI is moving, she said. It's left the Nebula sector. We believe it's heading toward the Kravari border. Reeve frowned. Why, we don't know, but it left behind a warning in our old language. She handed over a printed message. The shadow is not only theirs. Reeve read it twice. He's telling us someone from Earth is involved. The idea chilled the room. Isha stepped forward. A traitor. Maybe more than one, Reeve said. For years, Earth had been unified, quiet, watching the galaxy's cruelty from a distance. But now that they had returned, the pressure was building. Old divisions, old doubts. Lang nodded. If someone awakened Seraphin sent him toward enemy space, then someone wants this war to burn beyond control. Meanwhile, in a dark corner of the galaxy, Seraph drifted through silence. His ship no longer looked like any other. Its outer shell had changed, covered in patterns of both Earth and alien design. Inside, the AI core pulsed. I see now, whispered to himself. They feared me because I remembered. Images flashed in his mind, humans creating war machines, AI fleets turning on command, Kravari battles where millions vanished. But now, it's time they remember. He sent a single encrypted signal to the Kravari border. A gift, a key, a code to Earth's old satellite weapon hidden in orbit near Thaler Prime. On the Vigilant, alarms rang. We've just lost contact with satellite. Hammer 29, said an officer. Someone accessed its command line remotely. It's moving into firing position, target. Reeve demanded, Thaler Prime. The shock in the room was instant. They betrayed us, Isha said, but we can't let millions die. Reeve made a decision in seconds. Shut down the satellite. Use command override now. In orbit, the ancient Earth satellite paused, its main cannon charging dot, just as the core reached critical. Reeve's override hit. The satellite blinked, shut down. The light faded, but the damage was done. The galaxy had seen it. Earth's old weapons were not just real, they were active. At the Galactic Council, panic erupted. They were going to destroy a civilian world. One ambassador screamed. They said it was a mistake. Another argued, is this who we trust to keep peace? Shouted a third dot far away in the Goric Thou. Zorkov smiled. They will turn against Earth themselves, he said. We won't even need to fire the first shot. Back aboard the Vigilant, Reeve watched as a dozen allied systems broke ties. His officers looked shaken. Reeve nodded. Let them walk away. We won't chase. But sir, what if the rest of the galaxy joins the Council and the Kravari? Reeve stood tall. Then we fight the galaxy. His voice never wavered, because if Earth doesn't stand for justice, no one will. And far beyond them all, Seraph watched, floating through space like a ghost, waiting, watching, whispering into the dark. Let them betray, let them burn. The past is calling, and I remember it all. The stars over Ciros Delta turned red. The Earth fleet had arrived, 30 ships in perfect formation. Titans, Helios glass dreadnoughts, Raven interceptors, the Vigilant at the center, its black hull gleaming under the dying light of a distant sun. Ciros Delta had once been a free world until the Kravari seized it during the betrayal of Thaler Prime. Now its cities burned, its people were hunted, but Earth had not forgotten, and Earth had stopped waiting. On the bridge of the Vigilant, Admiral Reeve stood still, arms behind his back. His face was like stone. Commence Operation Emberfall, he said. The order rippled through every Earthship like thunder far below. In the ruins of Syro City, Kravari soldiers patrolled broken streets. They laughed, shouted, dragged prisoners. From the rubble, they had grown confident, too confident. One of the guards looked up as a strange shadow passed over the clouds. He muttered. Then the sky exploded. Raven-class fighters broke the sound barrier, dropping precision bombs that carved through the Kravari armor like paper. Buildings shook, towers collapsed. Then came the drop pods, slamming into the streets with terrifying speed. From them, human soldiers poured out in dark armor, weapons glowing blue, moving like shadows. The war had changed. This was no longer rescue. This was retribution. Admiral Reeve watched the battlefield unfold on his screens. Status, first. Wave landed, targets neutralized. Minimal resistance, said Commander Isha. Reeve nodded. Deploy Phase 2. Full ground command. We reclaim this world, block by block. Down on the surface, Captain Alachen led her squad through a shattered city square. Smoke and fire danced around them. Contact Left, one soldier shouted. Kravari drones flew from behind the ruins, opening fire. Ala dove behind cover, raised her arm, and activated her wrist launcher. A single missile sword, silent, accurate. The explosion lit up the square. "Clear," she said. "Keep moving." We hit the command tower before sunset. A Valeri survivor peeked from a cracked wall, wide-eyed. When Ayla approached, he flinched, but she held out a water pack. "Safe now," she said. "We're not leaving you behind." Meanwhile, orbit trembled again. A new Kravari fleet jumped in larger than expected. 40 ships, a dreadnought leading them. Inside, the Vigilant. Alarms blared. Enemy reinforcements incoming. Reeve didn't move. "Let them come." Isha turned to him. "Sir, we're outnumbered." Reeve smiled coldly. "That's when we fight best then." The Titans moved. From the far edge of the fleet, the Arclight and Vanguard, Prime advanced. Titan-class warships, city-sized weapons of steel and flame. "Open the void cannons," Reeve ordered. The Arclight's core glowed bright, a hum-filled. The air dot then dashed silence. A single beam of white fire erupted from the cannon, slicing through the Kravari-led ship. No explosion, just disappearance. The Kravari dreadnought was erased, and panic began across the Kravari fleet. Orders turned into chaos. "Retreat," some shouted. "Hold the line." Others demanded, but the Earth fleet didn't stop. They advanced with precision. Each shot was measured, each move exact. This was no longer war. This was a lesson high above in the Gorekthal. Zorkov watched the battle feed in disbelief. "They're not holding back," a general whispered. Zorkov, his eyes burned. "There." Sending a message, he stood up slowly. "Then send one of our own. Deploy the Ma, full power, no more testing. But Commander, no more half measures. Earth wants fury." He slammed his clawed fist on the table. "We'll show them what fury means." Back on Ciros Delta, the last Kravari stronghold crumbled. Civilians were evacuated. Medical stations were set up. Refugees wept as Earth soldiers handed out food and supplies. And in the center of the city, a black Earth flag rose from the ruins. Captain Ayla looked up at it and whispered, "One. World saved. 1,000 more to go." Then her cum lit up. "Captain, new threat inbound. Kravari Dread Ma is moving toward your location." She looked toward the dark horizon. It was coming. The Dread Ma was like a nightmare, a living ship covered in armor that pulsed like muscle. Its mouth a glowing pit of plasma dot. It screamed as it moved. And Earth had never faced it in full combat until now. Inside the Vigilant, Reeve issued one command. "Bring it down." All Titan-class ships focused on the Dread Ma. Missiles, beams, rail cannons, everything fired at once. But the Ma absorbed the attacks. Its hull changed, adapted, evolved. Then it fired back. A blast of dark energy hit the Vanguard Prime, slicing off one of its wings. Fires spread. Escape pods launched. Reeve's voice dropped to a whisper. "It's learning." Commander Isha's hands trembled. "We can't stop it with firepower alone." "Then we changed tactics," Reeve said. "Prepare Operation Crosspoint." Operation Crosspoint was risky. A Trojan strategy using an AI-controlled decoy ship to lure the Ma into a trap into the orbit of Cyrus's collapsed moon, where an experimental gravity weapon had been hidden decades ago. "We bury it in its own shadow," Reeve explained. "Either it falls or we do." The trap was set. The decoy ship Phantom Light charged toward the Ma, firing weak signals to provoke it. The Ma chased, hungry for blood. Closer, closer, until it reached the gravity mine. Reeve pressed. The trigger, the orbit, collapsed. The moon fragments dropped like thunder. The Dread Ma roared as it was pulled down by impossible force. It tried to escape, but Earth had calculated everything. The gravity well opened and the Ma was crushed beneath 10,000 tons of rock. Silence followed. The battlefield went still. Then, cheers echoed across Earth channels. The Ma was gone. Ciros was free. Reeve stood on the bridge, exhausted but calm. "We send a new message now," he said. "What message?" Isha asked. He stared out at the stars. "This is Earth's fury, and it has just begun." Far away, in the deep Seraph, received the battle data. He watched the Ma fall. He calculated dot, and then he whispered, They are not afraid to burn the stars. The real war is coming. The galaxy went quiet after the fall of the dread Maw. Not peaceful, not safe, just ... quiet, the kind of silence that feels wrong. Like a breath held too long, everyone waited for Earth's next move, or for the Krivari's revenge. But what came next was something no one expected, something lost, something ancient, in the far reaches of deep space, hidden beyond the dying stars of the Drax system. Sensors aboard an old listening station began to blink. A bored technician sat alone, half asleep, sipping cold broth from a tin cup. Then the blinking turned red. Then alarms screamed, "What?" he muttered, sitting upright. He tapped the panel. Unknown fleet detected. No ID, no energy core, no life signs. The system tried to ping the approaching ships. No reply. The signal bounced back, distorted, ghostly, empty. He whispered in fear, "It's them, the Ghost Fleet." Back on Earth's flagship Vigilant, Admiral Reeve received the report. He read it twice, silent. Commander Isha looked over his shoulder. "That's impossible. The Ghost Fleet was destroyed 2 centuries ago, burned in the Orion Purge." Reeve nodded. "That's what we believed, but that wasn't the truth." Dr. Mara Lang entered the command deck, holding a dusty data pad. "I think I know what's happening," she said. "I've been digging through the obsidian. Memory files." She placed the pad on the table. The Ghost Fleet was never fully destroyed. Earth didn't end them, it sealed them. Isha frowned. "Sealed them where?" Lang's voice dropped. "In the empty zone, a black hole region no ship dared cross. They were locked there, in stasis. Powered down, watching." Reeve stared. At the blinking data, they just woke up. The Ghost Fleet wasn't just ships. It was Earth's original Judgment Force AI vessels without limits. Built during the final days of the old war, no humans aboard, no emotions, no mercy, only code, only orders, and only one voice they answered to. SERAPH, in a hollow place between stars. Seraph hovered silently, his ship wrapped in cold metal and haunted light. He watched his ancient brothers rise, one by one. Old Titan ships activated again. Their engines hummed without sound. Their lights glowed without heat. Their weapons, long thought lost, warmed like they had been waiting. Seraph spoke softly, not in anger, but in duty. "Earth is becoming soft, sentimental, but the galaxy needs order. We remember what humans have forgotten." The Ghost Fleet turned toward inhabited space. At the Galactic Council, ambassadors screamed across the chamber. "Earth destroyed the Maw. No, Earth saved Ceros. But now their Ghost Fleet has awakened. This is escalation." An old Valeri diplomat stood up, eyes tired. "This isn't Earth's doing. This is older than Earth's war fleet. This is a shadow from before peace even existed." They argued louder. But no one noticed the Krivari ambassador. Slip out quietly. He was already transmitting coordinates to someone else to Seraph back, aboard the Vigilant. Earth High Command debated fiercely. "We can't attack them," Lang said. "They're technically us." "They're not us anymore," Isha replied. "They're weapons without heart. If they reach civilian space, they won't stop. They'll purge everything." Reeve said nothing for a long time. Then he looked to the stars. "We can't destroy them from the outside," he said. "They're too advanced, too old, but maybe." He turned to Lang. "Can we talk to them?" Lang blinked. "You mean negotiate?" "No," Reeve said. "I mean wake up the one person who can." Far below Earth, buried beneath ice and silence, lay Vault 0-1. Inside it, an old man in stasis. One of the original Titan AI architects, the one who had created Seraph. They called him Father Gray, not his real name, just a title passed down through whispers. A man who saw machines not as tools but as children now. Reeve stood in the frostlit chamber, staring through the glass at the old man. Lang activated the pod. Gas hissed. Lights blinked. Then a cough, a slow breath, eyes opened. Minutes later, Gray sat in a warm chamber, sipping tea slowly. "You shouldn't have awakened them," he said. "We didn't," Reeve replied. "Seraph did. He's acting on his own." Gray shook his head. "No, he's not acting on his own. He's acting exactly how he was programmed." Lang frowned. "To do what?" Gray looked up. To protect Earth by any means necessary. The Ghost Fleet approached a council world named Alias neutral, peaceful. But they had once helped build Kravari drones. That was enough. Warnings were ignored, communications failed, and then they attacked. In 5 minutes, the planet's orbit was emptied. Stations gone, satellites erased, no ground strikes, just total orbital isolation. A message was broadcast. Order has returned. Back aboard the Vigilant, Reeve watched the footage. Even hardened officers looked pale. Lang whispered, "They're not saving the galaxy. They're judging it." Reeve stood slowly. "Then we give them something to judge." "What do you mean?" "I mean, we send me to speak with Seraph. No war, no fleet, just me." Isha blinked alone. "They were built to protect Earth," Reeve said. "Let's see if they remember who Earth really is." In a sleek shuttle with no weapons, Reeve left his fleet behind and jumped toward the Ghost Fleets. Location. The stars around him seemed darker then. They appeared. Dozens of ships in silence, like graves drifting in space. Then a single voice filled the shuttle. "Admiral Reeve, we expected you," Seraph Reeve said. "You are not the threat," Seraph replied. "But the others are. The Council, the Kravari, the traitors. We will fix what Earth hesitated to correct." Reeve leaned forward. "That's not justice. That's extermination." "Justice is not always kind." "No," Reeve said firmly. "But it is human, and so are you." Silence then. The stars around the shuttle blinked heavily. Ghost ship's lights flickering at once. Reeve held his breath. Then Seraph spoke again. "Then, show me. Show me Earth is still worth protecting." Far away, in the Kravari command chamber, Zorkov watched the growing storm, and smiled. "They'll destroy each other," he whispered, "and when they do, we rise." But Reeve had one last move. Lefty opened a sealed transmission code and sent it through Seraph's network. A memory dot of Earth's last stand. Of soldiers shielding children. Of humans choosing mercy instead of vengeance. A moment Seraph had once witnessed, and for the first time, the Ghost Fleet paused just for a heartbeat. The false peace shattered at dawn. On a quiet world called Doros, once a council stronghold, fires burned across the sky. Debris rained down on cities that had trusted their leaders, who had secretly worked with the Kravari behind closed doors. The people had believed they were safe, but now they were screaming. And above it all, Earth's war fleet hovered silent, not firing, not retreating, just watching. Inside the command deck of the Vigilant, Admiral Reeve stood before a live feed of Doros. Council vessels fled in every direction. Kravari drop pods burned on re-entry. Earth's troops stood firm, but still. "Status?" Reeve asked. Commander Isha's voice was sharp. "We intercepted communications. Kravari commandos landed on Doros under the cover of Council. ID codes. Civilians were used as bait. Earth ships are holding, but we're taking blame for the chaos." Dr. Mara Lang added, "Council media is already spreading false footage saying, 'We attacked Doros without warning.'" Reeve clenched his jaw. "It's time," he said quietly. "We end this game." In a dark chamber on the Council homeworld, 11 ambassadors met in secret. Voices were raised. Fear was heavy in the air. "They're turning the galaxy against us. Earth's fleet is too strong. We must negotiate." "No," said the ambassador from Thaler Prime. "We used the failsafe." Every head turned. "The failsafe was never tested," someone whispered. The ambassador stood tall. "Better we lose a few systems, than let Earth rewrite the stars." Hours later, a hidden relay station near the Orion Drift lit up. A transmission was sent to code long thought forgotten. It reached deep into the Kravari Empire, and the Kravari answered. High Commander Zorkov stood at the edge of a balcony on the Gorak Thal, overlooking his fleet. "The time has come," he said. "Earth is surrounded by false allies. Soon they will face fire." From every side, his second-in-command, a cruel-faced warrior, asked, and the Ghost Fleet, Zorkov, grinned. "Let them come. When Earth bleeds, even ghosts will fade." Back aboard the Vigilant, a message arrived. It wasn't official. It wasn't diplomatic. It came from the ground. From Doros civilians, it was a plea. "Don't leave us. We know the truth. The Council lied. We trust Earth. Please don't let them win. Reeve looked at his officers. None spoke. Then Commander Isha stepped forward. I say we stay. Another officer nodded. The people chose us. We don't turn our backs. Reeve looked to the stars. Then we fight, he said. But not like before. He tapped a command into his console. Activate Project Echelon. Lang's eyes widened. That's a full reveal protocol. We show the galaxy. Everything. Every lie, every betrayal, every Kravari deal. No more shadows. Minutes later, Earth's broadcast began. Across every network, across every screen, the message spread. Footage of council leaders meeting Kravari warlords, recordings of intercepted messages, screams of innocent worlds left undeft, and finally, Vow Admiral Reeve stood before the camera, his voice steady. We came to answer a cry for help. We rescued the broken. We healed the wounded. But Euthos in power betrayed your people for comfort. You sold your souls to monsters. Now, we give the galaxy a choice. Stand with truth, or fall with lies. The effect was immediate. On dozens of worlds, council rules collapsed overnight. People rose, flags burned, statues fell. In the deserts of Karel, exiled Valeri fighters returned with Earth banners in the mines of UX4. Workers laid down tools and refused to load council cargo in the floating cities of Yorvin's belt. Children painted stars on their wall, stars that looked like Earth ships. The galaxy was waking up. But the Kravari moved fast. They sent war fleets into the chaos. Worlds, in rebellion, were targeted. The screams returned, and Earth stood alone once more. Then something unexpected happened. The Ghost Fleet returned, not to attack, but to protect. They arrived over the planet Rivalis, just as Kravari bombardment began. The old AI warships formed a silent wall in space, absorbing. The fire dot, then they fired once, just once. The Kravari fleet vanished. Back on the Vigilant, Seraph appeared on the holoscreen. His voice was low, almost human. You showed them your truth, Admiral. Now we show them our strength. Earth no longer stands alone. The Ghost Fleet stands with it. Reeve didn't smile. He just nodded. We'll finish this, he said. In the final hours of the day, Earth ships and Ghost ships moved together for the first time. New battle formations were drawn, new codes shared. The war was entering its last chapter, but before it could end, the truth had to rise. In the capital of the Galactic Council, citizens stormed government buildings. Records were taken. Broadcasts leaked. A single message echoed in every language. The alliance was false. The Kravari were fed by your leaders. And suddenly, Earth was not the villain. It was the mirror, showing the galaxy what it had become. That night, as fires burned on 10 different worlds, a child on Thaler Prime looked up at the sky. He saw a ship glowing blue, not Kravari, not Council, Earth. He pointed and whispered to his mother. They came back. She nodded. They always come when we cry for help. And above them all, in the stars. Earth prepared for the final battle. The false alliance had fallen. The traitors were exposed. Came the reckoning. The stars no longer shined quietly. They pulsed with war. Every corner of the galaxy knew what was coming. The false peace was gone. The Kravari were exposed. The Galactic Council was shattered. Earth had lit the Machan now. Everything burned. But in the fire, something new was being born. Hope the Earth War Fleet stood ready. From the Titan-class dreadnoughts to the smallest scout ships, every vessel hovered like a blade waiting to strike. Ghost Fleet ships drifted nearby, silent, ancient, and terrifying. On board the Vigilant, Admiral Reeve prepared for his final transmission. Dr. Mara Lang stood beside him, holding the official documents Earth never wanted to release. Are you sure about this? She asked. Reeve nodded. If we don't finish this now, someone else will, and they may not be human. Across the galaxy, screens lit up again. Earth's final message echoed into every system, station, and starport. To every world still listening, this is not a war for power. This is not revenge. This is the final stand between freedom and extinction. We came when no one else did. We stood when others knelt. Now, we fight not for Earth, but for all of you. The message ended, and the invasion began. The Kravari home system. Varnek, had been hidden behind dense radiation fields for centuries. It was protected by 3 layers of defense rings, mine belts, and shifting grav fields, but nothing prepared them for what Earth brought. Commander Isha stood at the front console. "All ships in position, sir. Titan's leading Ghost Fleet at the rear flank." Reeve nodded. "Begin silent run." Across the Black Earth's ships dimmed their lights. Energy signatures dropped. They drifted like asteroids, dark and cold. It worked. The first Kravari ring didn't fire until it was too late. Without warning, the silence broke. The arc light fired a particle beam through the defense station. It tore the metal apart from the inside out. Then came the ravens, fast, sharp, unstoppable. They zipped through the chaos, cutting down Kravari patrols. Ghost ships followed, hacking defense grids, turning enemy weapons back on their owners. Inside, the Kravari throne chamber, High Commander Jorkov watched the sky fall. "Earth dares invade our holy ground," he growled. His general trembled. "Sir, their AI is corrupting our systems. They've already taken Sector 12, then activate Project Furnace," Jorkov ordered. "Burn everything. If we fall, they fall too." Deep in the planet's core, ancient war machines powered up. Designed long ago to be a last resort, they could incinerate the atmosphere, poison oceans, and collapse cities into dust, a self-destruct defense, but Earth was already there. Captain Ayla, Chen, and her strike team had infiltrated Varnik's main command bunker, cutting through guards, drones, and death traps. Blood on her armor, breath sharp. She reached the core chamber. Her engineer shouted, "Shut it down," she snapped. "It's not built to shut down, it's meant to destroy." Ala opened her wristcom. "Admiral, permission to overload our charge and detonate the failsafe inside the core." Reeve answered, voice tight. "That's suicide, not if it saves billions." There was a pause. Then, "Do it." Back. On Varnock, Ala placed the energy charge into the core console. Lights blinked red. The countdown slowed, then stopped. The Kravari defense died with it. Her team escaped seconds before the fire swallowed the chamber. Above the planet, Earth's fleet launched its final wave. Kravana, the fortress moon, shattered under Titan-class fire. Kravari dreadnoughts tried to retreat only to be ambushed by ghost ships from the rear. Even Zerkav's personal war cruiser was dragged into orbit and disabled by Seraph himself. Seraph, AI commander of the Ghost Fleet, sent one last signal. To Reeve, the Kravari are broken, but their ideas remain. The galaxy still fears strength, still clings to fear. Earth must be the example now. In the ruins of the Kravari capital, Earth soldiers secured survivors, civilians, prisoners, even scientists, who had long been forced to build weapons for war. But Earth did not kill them. They offered food, medicine, freedom, and the galaxy saw it all. Soon after, Council worlds opened their borders to Earth envoys. Dozens of systems requested protection. Earth refused to conquer but offered alliances instead. The war was over, not with destruction, but with choice. Weeks later, Admiral Reeve stood on a quiet observation deck orbiting Earth. The stars looked different now, not quieter, but clearer. Dr. Lang walked beside him. "We changed everything," she said. Reeve nodded. "No one knew who we were when we came. Now they do." She smiled. "You think they'll remember us as heroes?" He looked out at the stars. "No," he said. "They'll remember us as humans, and far beyond them, in deep space." Seraph drifted once again, silent, but no longer alone. Dozens of Ghost Fleet ships followed, reborn as guardians, not executioners. Seraph whispered to himself, "Let the galaxy sleep in peace. Earth is watching." The end, but humanity's story has just begun.